Welcome everybody for some more ALR action, and we are here in where are we? Not so sunny. It's quite dark in Singapore, but we're in Singapore nonetheless for round 15 of Silver Season 6, and we are ready to get racing, or ready to get qualifying first, of course, for this event. And let me just get me stream up so I can see all the lovely comment sections and whatnot. Usually Gordo will say hello to me, but I think he's actually on holiday tonight, which is unfortunate. He is missing this race tonight in Silver, but we have got the full grid ready to get going here in Singapore, and we're just about ready to get the stream up and everything. Good stuff. We are just about ready to get going for the start of the event, I should say. And good stuff, I think, is that you can just about hear me, so that is fantastic stuff indeed. All right then, let's get cracking. Hang on, my headset's trying to fall off. Let's get cracking then for the qualifying. We've just about got everyone in the lobby. Everyone's loaded in. Everyone is ready to get going. It is nice and dry in the qualifying, it looks like, for these drivers there. Of course, in the gold qualifying, it was pouring down with rain for the whole thing, wasn't it? Pretty much, I think, for the whole lot. Unless Q3 was a bit dry. Of course, I didn't make it into Q3 because I'm not talented enough, of course. So there we go. That is the rundown of what happened. Of course, the gold race was nice and dry, but yeah, unfortunately not so much in the qualifying, but there we go. That is just that. And right then, we are ready to get ourselves going now for the qualifying here in the Marina Bay, of course. That is looks like Craig R is going to set us off on our way, as I'm just trying to update the stream with the thumbnail and everything, because unfortunately I'm still streaming from the PlayStation, not from the lovely whatever you want to call it, Streamlabs or whatever, because of my technical difficulties. But there we go then. Don't worry about that. We'll have to just focus on the racing. Hopefully it doesn't take away too much from the racing itself. I'm sure it won't at all, which is fantastic, because we can get ourselves ready to get going here in Singapore now, as Craig R is going to set the pace there for the first opening laps here of the silver qualifying, and taking us around and into the over the bridge there in towards sector 3, that is. Of course, this second of the RS straight around this circuit. Of course, well, there's 3 actually, isn't there? Because there's technically the first DRS straight is just before the start-finish line, so it is technically the last DRS straight, not the first one. And then we've got one after turn 4 there, as we can see the cars flowing through. And now the reprofiled, well, not the reprofiled chicane. It used to be a chicane. Well, it used to be a couple of chicanes, really, didn't it? Before they reprofiled the turns there and got it all nice and sorted. Now we can have a bit more straight line speed through there, and of course it has eliminated about 10 seconds per lap off of the off the lap time, that is, as well, especially in the dry. So you can go a lot faster through there, and it is much quicker to get around this circuit now than it used to be in the previous seasons, previous iterations there of ALR, and of course in real life F1 as well. Evening from Tango, so looking good. Good luck for everyone tonight, and hope the hot tyres. Hope you like hot tyres, because you're going to have them, says Tango as well. Of course, overheating around these parts, especially for the tyre compounds. Maybe just for the people in the cars as well. We saw that in Qatar in real life. We might see it in Singapore here tonight virtually. But yeah, overheating can be a problem around Singapore. It is a very hot and humid time of the year there to be racing around these streets. But I'm sure the drivers are up to it and up to the challenge as well. Here comes Craig R now once again over the bridge there and around the hairpin there to start off his final sector now, I suppose you could say, of the first flying lap of the session, as he goes, of course, purple in sector 2 as well, because he's the first driver on track there. 14 minutes left in the qualifying. It's still quite a long track around here, isn't it? Even though now we've got that removal of the stadium section, I suppose you could call it, because they had a grandstand there, didn't they? I think they just flipped the grandstand around there. It's now facing back to the straight, but yeah, it used to be a grandstand there facing the water, pretty much, wasn't it? Over the looking out over the sea there. 31.8 there is the time to beat there from Craig R, who sets the precedent here in qualifying. We will have a look and see who's next across the line. I think it's an Alpine. of Farf. Is it Farf goes faster still with a 30.7. That is over a second faster than Craig Gar's time as well. Fantastic stuff indeed there from the Alpine driver. Looking good indeed in the Alpine tonight. Then let's have a look and see what the Haas drivers are up to. It's Collins coming around the final corner now to finish off his lap. It's up into a P3 there, 35.1. I don't think that's his representative pace there, but they might have had a problem on that first lap as well. Just setting his sights in there is Collins. Alfa Romeo of Dylan there goes faster still into the 29s as well for Dylan. It's a 29.5 there. Kamara Racer there up into the 29s as well. 29.7 for the Aston Martin driver, and they're all tumbling in now. Vessier into P3 with a 30.3 as well. It is really coming down quickly as well in these times there. 32.0 there for the Golden Wolf in the Williams, and his teammate there into the 31s there with Sweet MJP P6 now. Dopey Lemons there into P4 there. So the Alfa Romeo is looking good in qualifying in the opening stages, that is. Mumford unfortunately is invalidated. Jenner is back in the pit lane as well. So is B Rabbit and Vintage. They're not having a good time there, unfortunately for them. There, KD and Mr. Elite are out on track there. There's a bit of a bottleneck here forming behind this Alpha Tauri, who hopefully knows to get out of the way of this charging Red Bull there. It is getting close indeed, and I think that might be well, it was very close indeed. I think there from Craig R and Mr. Elite. Hopefully didn't impede Mr. Elite's lap. He's up into P5 nonetheless with a fantastic time of a 30.660. Good stuff indeed. Formula Moments has said you to you too, I suppose you could say. Okay, there we go, that's me. These Formula Moments, I think, is out on track there. It is Jake the Slayer in the Alpine tonight, and looking to get some great points there for the Alpine team. But there we go then. We're going round now into turn 4 there, down the down the middle straight, I suppose you could call it, where of course the cars are the fastest on the track as well. You would say, yeah, I think that's probably right, to be fair, because of course the other straights aren't as long as that straight heading down towards turn 5 and now through towards turn 6 as well. This is where the track gets a bit more treacherous. He's invalidated going too wide there at the corner there, and the next corner there, the left-hander. He's gone too wide off the track, and that is an invalidation there for Jake the Slayer in the Alpine there. KD coming back to the pit lane, it looks like. Unfortunately, not being able to set a time. He did have a bit of a difficult time in the gold race last night, reserving in place of Nigel, I think it was. Yeah, he managed to get himself up. Didn't have a good race, but he managed to get himself a fantastic qualifying there in the wet conditions. So maybe he's hoping for some wet conditions in the race here in Silver, because there doesn't look like, as Mumford goes up into P4 with a fantastic time, it doesn't look like it's going to be raining in qualifying here. But who knows? We never know around Singapore. It could change from wet to dry, back to wet, and back to snow, back to whatever you want to call it. So there we go. Mr. Elite back in the pit lane. A lot of people now back in the pits, as unfortunately Collins, he's invalidated once again. Jake Sledge getting himself back to the pit lane as well, and a few out laps there, just getting themselves underway for those who I don't think have got a time in so far in this session, unfortunately for Jenner and B Rabbit, that they had, I think, invalidations on their first runs, which is why they are now back out on track so quickly. And we come through the old Singapore sling used to be here, which is where it got a bit treacherous indeed for the drivers there. Their driver's safety was taken into account, and they removed the Singapore sling. Yeah, who knows about that? They've taken out driver's safety. Forget about that. Let's just have some bumps to go over instead. Yellow flags in sector 2. I think that's a McLaren of I think it's Mumford actually coming back to the pit lane. They might have run out of fuel there in the McLaren, so he's just getting himself back to the pits. But Jenner, I think, will be the next to get out on track, unless I think we've got Tango out on track as well, haven't we? Tango's behind Jake the Slayer, so we'll come back to that, because Jake the Slayer is going to be the first to cross the line on his flying lap now, unless, of course, there's another invalidation there for the Alpine driver in this part of the lap. Oh, it's very tight indeed there, as Collins is retired, I think, in the pit lane there. I think he's in the pit lane anyway. I can't quite tell. But nonetheless, they will go back to Jake the Slayer there in the Alpine. DRS now available there to the pink and blue car as we come down towards Sector 2 there. He's gone purple in Sector 2. I don't think that's purple to Dylan's time, but I think it might be purple to the drivers ahead of him who have set a time, I should say, so far. But it is going to be close, I think, for Jake the Slayer. Of course, the bronze driver who's stepped up tonight, I think in place of V Todd in the the other Alpine, because Farth, it seems, is in his car. So that is V Todd in the other Alpine for silver. But yeah, unfortunately, V Todd not here with us tonight, as he goes right in behind his teammate there, only a tenth and a bit off of Farth into P9 there for Jake Slayer. Good stuff indeed, as Tango was about to try and find Tango, but he's taken pole position with a 28.824. He is almost 7/10 of a second. He is over 7/10 of a second faster than P2 Dylan at the moment, but of course Dylan is going to try and beat that time as well, and Tomorrow Racer is going to have something to say about it as well in P3 at the moment. So the Aston Martin's looking very strong indeed. Dylan is in a bit of a sandwich as it stands, but I think that might be that might change towards the end of this qualifying session. We'll have to wait and see, but that is fantastic stuff indeed. Vintage is not on the circuit. It's Craigar who's crossing the line to start his flying lap now. Gillo is coming back to the pit lane. He's invalidated once again, unfortunately for Jenner. He's not having a good time out there. The Williams back on our laps as well. Let's see if any Mercedes are out on track. There is a B Rabbit there coming round the final corner. Let's see what he can do. Can he get himself up into pole position? He's on the front row, but he's a tenth or so behind Tango in P2. And like I was said, the top three in the standings, in the driver standings, which we'll go through very quickly indeed, are looking formidable here in qualifying as well. Once again, both of the top two into the 28s as well. Dylan is only half a second off, but I'm thinking he might be able to improve to get himself in the 28s as well. Kamara Racer is looking racy here indeed as well, and that could be very daunting there for the other drivers who are not in the Aston Martin cars, as the Aston Martins are looking pretty good here in qualifying with 7 minutes to go here. Around the penultimate corner now for Kamara Racer. That's where the torpedo of Liam there decided to take his time, make his presence known, as Kamara Racer goes up in P3. They're overtaking Dylan, who of course is now on a lap as well. But like I was saying, that is the penultimate corner is where Liam took his opportune move to dive bomb me in gold and get the last point of the race. But I hold no grudges, as I'm definitely not bitter, and I'm definitely not going to keep bringing it up. But there we go then. So Dylan now coming through into the old Singapore sling, now down towards the hairpin after the bridge. And now let's see, can he get himself on the power quickly? Oh, there's a bit of squirrely there as he tries to put the power down in that Alfa Romeo there. That could have cost him a bit of time as he comes down the straight with DRS enabled there in towards sector 3. He is 3/10 down on his time. That is bad news indeed for Dylan. I don't think he's going to be able to finish this lap off. He might have time to go back round if he saves some ERS now and saves some fuel, but unfortunately for Dylan, it's not going to be an improvement on this lap, I don't think, unless he pulls out a mammoth final sector. But there we go. KD up into P3 there. He's done a 29.3 there in the Red Bull. Here comes Dylan though. He's back in the pit lane. He's abandoning his lap time. He's abandoning the time here. He doesn't want to use up those tyres too much more, I should say, as Mr. Elite, I think, is crossing the line into P6 there for the Red Bull driver. Both of the Red Bulls now looking good in qualifying as we enter the final few stages here in Singapore qualifying. That is, of course, the race is still to come, and it's 31 laps there to unfold in front of our very eyes in about, I can't see the timer because the yellow flags are out, in about 6 minutes time. Well, fantastic stuff indeed. Oi, says Liam. I don't know whether he's oying about. I think he might have said that before or after I started commenting about his illegal overtake, which I really should have reported, really. But there we go. Yeah, I can't say anything much because I wasn't on the pace, to be fair, to get any points. I didn't deserve any points in that one, but I was just lucky to be in the right place, or definitely the wrong place for Liam's point of view, at the right or wrong time, depending on whose point of view you're looking at. But there we go then. Mumford is now coming through the old Singapore sling to come across the bridge once again there to try and get himself further up the order. Mumford has had some great pace in silver. He's been a bit inconsistent with the qualifying pace, which is where it's let him down, I suppose you could say, over the season so far. Of course, he joined in a bit later on after the season started as well, so he's having to do some catch up, but he is going purple in sector 2, and that is 4/10 up as well on his previous time. Where would that put him? That would put him in the high 29s. That might put him in the realms of P7, I should say, with Dopey Lemons potentially, unless he can improve by another 3/10 or so and get him up into the realms of P6 or P5. Let's have a look and see what he can do as he comes round the final corner there in the McLaren to finish off his lap time. It's going to be a 29.6 there, puts himself P7, and he is only about half a tenth or so away from Mr. Elite as well. Good stuff indeed. Dopey Lemons has used up a lot of ERS already on this lap. I'm not quite sure what the tactic is there, but we'll have to see what how that unfolds. Both the Alpines have dropped down the order there after their first attempts here in qualifying, as Jake the Slayer is back out on track there. Ginner as well has not set a time in this qualifying just yet. He's having struggles to finish a lap without invalidating it, unfortunately. It looks like he's back in the pit lane once again, and it's not looking good here for the Haas outfits, as one of the Haases has already retired, and the other Haas is struggling to get a valid lap together here in this qualifying session as well. So there we go. Just waiting for something to go wrong tonight, says Tango. He had a good race in gold last night. I think he finished in P6 or P7, I think it was. I can't remember. There's too many people in racing, but there we go. But only good race I've ever had was last night. There we go. Then my only comment is nullified by the comments in the stream. And Tango's already said that he did a good job in gold last night. So let's see what he can do here in silver. Currently on pole position with 3 minutes left to go. And of course, after that 3 minutes, we'll get ourselves into the race itself. But there we go then. Here comes Jake the Slayer there to finish off the lap once again. He's up into P12 though. He's improved by half a second there, but it's only improved his positioning by 2 places, unfortunately. It just shows the gap there to the top 10 as it stands is quite significant at the moment, but of course we might see some time still tumbling in as we get towards the end of the session. We've only got a few minutes left now in the qualifying, 3 minutes left to go before we get ourselves head first into the Grand Prix itself. And we'll have to wait and see whether it's going to be what type of race it's going to be. Is it going to be a wet race? We haven't seen any comments from the drivers just yet on what the conditions are like in the race itself. As Kaz comes around the final corner to start off his lap. Vintage is retired in the pit lane, so he's not going to be able to get himself a time on the board. Unfortunately for Vintage, could be at the back of the grid for the start of this Grand Prix. Yellow flags being waved in Sector 2, but that is just for the slower cars, just getting out of the way of others who are flying through. And that is that. I think Jake the Slayer, unless he's got enough fuel on board, might have to call it a day in qualifying and stay at P12 or that would be his best position there for the start of this Grand Prix. Yellow flags as Mumford has retired, I think in the pit lane as well, but there's yellow flags all over the circuit now, and I think it's just a few people on outlaps compared to those who are flying around, and that is going to be very dangerous indeed if you get caught up behind the drivers. They're just coming out of the pit lane there, and you're on a flying lap, because it can really impede your lap times as we go through into Sector 2 there. This is the technical part of the circuit, trying to get the curb, trying to get your braking points nailed on the curves as well. There's a Williams there. I'm not quite sure what the Williams is doing, and Kaz has got himself through. Just about. It was a bit of a squeeze there, to be fair, trying to get himself past the Williams there at that hairpin, but he's managed to do it nonetheless. And now into Sector 3 we go there for the final lap, or final sector I should say, for Kaz as well. This will be his only one attempt in qualifying as well. Can he get himself a good time on the board? We'll find out from the Ferrari driver as we go into Sector 3. Not very good over the curbs there. The curbs do unsettle the car, but he has managed to keep it pointing in the right direction for the time being. And now around the final corner there up to the line, it's going to be a 31.6 there, puts himself P17, but ahead of course Collins of Collins and Ginner and Vintage at the moment, that is. We'll come back to that because we have got McLaren. That's a McLaren of Irvine coming through. Jake the Slayer, I think, is going for a second attempt here. He is going for a second attempt, so he's got enough fuel on board, he's got enough ERS on board to get himself going again. Here comes Reflection there to finish off his lap. Let's see what the Mercedes driver can do. Can he get himself in the top 10 here? It's going to be close indeed. It's P11 for Reflection, just outside the top 10 by only a few thousandths of a second as well. Very good stuff indeed there. Here comes Craig R around the final corner as well. He's just starting a lap there. And what is going on here? There's a Ferrari. There's all sorts coming up here. There's a Ferrari, an Alfa Romeo, a Red Bull, another Alfa Romeo, and then another Red Bull, I think. So yeah, it's all over the place in this one. But I think there was someone who coming back to the pit lane there, so they've got themselves out of the way now of the queue. Mystery, I think he's just starting a lap 2. No, it was KD just starting. No, he's finishing a lap. I think it was KD. He's up into P3. Well, he stays in P3, I should say, but he's got 29.0 under his belt. And now we've got, I think Favre there was just starting a lap as well. So yeah, Favre just getting himself onto the circuit there. Kaz there just trying to get himself out of the way there of the drivers who are on flying laps. Here comes one of them. It's Jenner there around the final couple of corners there to get his only valid lap in on this session. I think unfortunately he's had a bit of a struggle there in the early parts. He's got himself up into P12 P12 there off the one run that he's been able to do in this qualifying session. That is his qualifying done and dusted, as the checkered flag has fallen. Bree Rabbit there has not been able to get himself further up the order there. He stays in P2. It is now down to KD. Kamara's back in the pit lane as well. Down to Dylan, down to Mr. Elite. Can they beat Tango to pole position? Can Tango improve even further? He's currently up 2.5 seconds. 2.5 seconds, blimey. 2.5 tenths, I should say. If he was up 2.5 seconds, I would think he should be promoted, to be fair, because that would be pretty good indeed. But he's doing a good job nonetheless there for a strong pole position here. It looks like, as it stands there, around the final quarter there. Oh, he's almost lost the car over the curbs there, but he goes faster still by 0.2 of a second there into the 28.6s. Great stuff indeed there. KD, I think, coming back to the pit lane. Dylan has not crossed the line just yet, but he's coming back to the final corner now as his teammate, I should say, of Dopey Lemons there is coming back to the pit, and Dylan crosses the line, but he doesn't improve. Unfortunately, stays P6 there. I think that is qualifying, apart from Farf, done and dusted here. And Farf is cruising around, fuel light flashing there. He's unfortunately not going to be able to get himself any position gain here with this time. It's a bit too slow indeed for Farf to get himself over the line and improve his position. He's going to be starting P16, unfortunately, in this Grand Prix, but we'll run through the classification very shortly. Tango in the Aston Martin is your pole sitter here for the Singapore Grand Prix. A fantastic qualifying indeed from the Aston Martin driver, from both of them, to be honest, as Kamara Racer is going to be sitting P4 off the starting grid there, but on the front row in pole position there is Tango in the Aston Martin. It's not too much of a long run down towards turn 1 here, so you'd hope that he can hold on to it as well. But anything can happen in Formula 1, and it usually does there. Mushroom has said, come on, Alpha, and good evening all as well. Good evening to yourself, Mushroom. Faster checking his I don't think I want to read that one out. Something about his points. Tango there in P1 there, of course, pole position there for the Aston Martin driver. As we've said, B Rabbit there in P2. Didn't get his final run in though, but couldn't fight for that pole position in the end. KD there in P3. Kamara Racer in P4. Mr. Elite with a fantastic qualifying there in P5. Both the Red Bulls looking good indeed. Dylan there in P6. McLaren's P7 and P8 there for Mumford and Irvine respectively. Dopey Lemons in P9. Sweemger P in P10. Reflection P11. Jiller in P12. Vessia P13. Craigar P14. Jake the Slayer P15. And Farf in P16. Golden Wolf P17. Kaz in P18. And Collins in P19. Unfortunately, Vintage didn't get a time in the session, so that is him down in P20 for the start of this Grand Prix. But we are ready to get going now for Singapore. A lovely lap from Tango there from Liam, and a monstrous lap from Ginger Rage. So fantastic stuff indeed. Serious Mushroom. I wonder what Gold would do in the dry. Said I think he's referring to the qualifying times, but I'm pretty sure the likes of Geordie Boxtel, the likes of Knowlesy, who was absolutely rapid in any conditions, but yeah, I'm sure he would have been in the 24s. Good stuff. Right then. Well, Liam thinks it would have been a low 28, but I think I would have been in 24s, to be honest. But yeah, there we go. So that's all I can say about the matter. Right then, we're hopefully going to get ourselves underway for some racing here. We're just waiting for the drivers to get themselves sorted with the strategies, get the fuel loads ready. It will only be a few seconds before we get ourselves started then here in Singapore. And apparently I am very modest, says Serious Mushroom, so thank you very much for that. Right then, we'll get the tyre compounds up, because as we can see there, the formation lap now underway. We can see there that is one hell of a grid that is decided to go on one way pretty much on all the tyre compounds. Apart from 4 drivers, everybody on the hard compound tyres there, all the way from Vintage up to Tango there in P1. And now we've only got Mumford in P7 in the McLaren on the mediums. Then we've got Golden Wolf, Kaz and Collins there, all at the back of the field, unfortunately for them, on the medium compound tyres from P17 down to P19. Everybody else is on the hard compound tyres, and they'll be looking, hopefully, for a nice clean start there. No safety cars there to get themselves in the way of their strategies now. Good stuff indeed. Right, well, that was quick. We'll run through the championship very quickly indeed, especially for the top three. Currently, B Rabbit leads the way there. He's in P2 there off the start of this one. Tango is in P2 in the standings, that is, the driver's standings there. Dylan is in P3, so he's looking to fight back there in this stage of the racing, of the proceedings, I should say. Farf is actually in P4 in the standings, but you wouldn't know it from his qualifying pace. Down in P16, unfortunately, at the moment. And that is as far as I know, to be fair, off the top of my head. So bear me 1 second whilst I quickly get the standings up. So then we've got Pot Stuff in P5, unfortunately not making it tonight. Irvine in P6, looking good in the McLaren. Dopey Lewin's P7. Gordo in P8, not racing tonight. Same for Beast in P9. Mumford in P10. Dan in P11, not racing tonight either. Jinner in P12. Reflection P13. Swinger P in P14. Mr. Elite in P15 in the Red Bull. Craig R in P16. V Todd in P17. Kamara Racer in P18. Golden Wolf and E Moller make up the 20 on the grid there. In the constructors, Mercedes lead the way by 20 points there to Alfa Romeo there. Aston Martin are in P3, Alpine in P4, the Haas are in P5, McLaren in P6, and they're not separated by too many points there, so there could be some big points on offer there for the McLaren team if they can get themselves up the constructors order, if they can get them some big points here in Singapore. Red Bull in P7, Ferrari P8 there, Williams in P9, and Scuderia AlphaTauri are only 6 points off the AlphaTauri, off the rest of the order, but they are unfortunately down at the bottom at the moment. Right then, it's going to be Messi says, oh dear, what's that parking there for the Red Bull? That is interesting stuff indeed from Mr. Elite. Right then, I think we're ready to get ourselves going, are we? Hopefully we are. I think Vintage is parked up. So we'll be able to get ourselves underway. Fingers crossed. Hello. It wouldn't be a fantastic patch without some more glitches coming out, would it? Goodness me, that doesn't happen. But we are currently waiting. And we're going to have to wait, I think. I don't know if the host leaves. I think it starts, or it did previously to when they fixed it last time. Anyway, so potentially if the host leaves, we can. Yeah, as oh wait, no, Mumford's been disqualified. I'm not quite sure what's going on here as we get ourselves underway. Do we? No, it's a jump start. No, it's not a jump start. Goodness me, what is going on here? There's a safety car, but nobody's moved. And B Rabbit has moved. I think we're going to have to. Well, I don't want to call it here, but we think we're going to have to just restart this one because it is a bit of a mess. They are off the mark now, but the safety car has already been called out, and B Rabbit has passed the safety car. Mumford is Mumford is back. Oh, that's good. I think Mumford is back. No, Dopey Lemons is retired, and I'm not quite sure. Oh, it's a lobby restart. There we go. Lobby restart, everybody. So if you're listening from the driver's point of view, if you're watching the stream, you're entitled to a lobby restart. So everyone can just retire and get themselves into the new session there. And yeah, there we go. Then unfortunately, I don't know what happened there. It was a bit of an odd one. That was a bit of a strange start as well, because we saw some cars go. Safety car then came out, but some cars had already passed the safety car as well. So yeah, a bit of a nightmare that one. But we'll get ourselves back in the lobby as soon as possible. It won't be only a few minutes there before we get ourselves back underway, and we can get ourselves into the new session very shortly indeed. But fancy that there from a fantastic patch there that came out earlier today. We have now had a false start, I suppose you could call it, and now we are just going to have to get ourselves back into another lobby there, get the race back underway in a few minutes time there. But bear with us, we won't be too long. We'll just be able to get ourselves sorted and get ourselves into a new session very quickly indeed. And yeah, I think that'll be that for me. I will just leave the lobby and wait for a new invitation, I think. But of course, we will hopefully just keep the stream going. Fingers crossed anyway. But yeah, we'll just wait for the new invite as we are just now looking at the lovely loading screen. We'll find out what it's going to be like here in Singapore. Let me go and have a look at the track maps, shall I? Because why not? Usually very nice stuff indeed. And we'll have a look at the Singapore Grand Prix in a bit more detail. So there we go. Wonderful stuff. 19 turns. There you go. Have a look at that. No formation lap, says Jake the Slayer. Well, that will be a surprise. Right then. I'm just waiting for an invitation, to be honest, because I haven't got one yet. So, yeah, there we go. Bear with us 1 second whilst we get the invites out, and we will get ourselves racing in just a jiffy. So, yeah. Talk amongst yourselves. Give me, I'll tell you what, Serious Mushroom will enlighten us with what he had for dinner tonight as well, because that will be enlightening conversation. But, yeah, bear with us 1 second whilst we get this sorted. What do you reckon of the new circuit layout, says Sean. That's not what I was talking about. I wanted to talk about dinner, but yeah, what do you reckon about the new circuit layout? I personally like it a lot because it just it removes time for me having to race, having to commentate around this circuit. Of course, it has taken about 10 seconds per lap off of that sort of stadium section that it used to be. 10 seconds per lap, that is. It's been saved now with that straight there, just going from sector 2 all the way down to the basically the end of sector 3, really, as well, isn't it? Yeah, I know. So, but yeah, there we go. So yeah, I personally like it. It takes yeah, like a lot less racing and a lot less commentating time on there. But not so much tonight because we had this whatever's going on with this lobby. But there we go, and chicken and mushroom pie and chips for the Serious Mushroom as well. That is fantastic. That is making me salivate with something or other. I'm not quite sure why the invites are taking so long, but we'll wait for the invites to come out and we can get ourselves underway. Once again, there for the race itself. Of course, the qualifying results will stay the same as they were in the qualifying itself. So bear with us 1 second whilst we get the lobby sorted, and when we've got the lobby sorted up. But yeah, as Formula Moments are saying, by the way, I'm Slayer Alex. I said yes, I know, because I know your YouTube name and real name. So there we go. Good stuff. Tango saying the old layout is not as good as the old, but this track is not the best on this game. Curbs ruin it, said Tango there, but Serious Mushroom, this I prefer this layout. So there's a lot of differing of opinion there on the new layout of Singapore. I've been given an invitation. They just forgot to invite me apparently. So there we go. Just loading in now then. Hopefully it will let me join into the lobby. There we go. And spectate. Perfect stuff indeed. Right then, we are ready to get ourselves racing here in Singapore now. And it will only be a few seconds away now. This is going to be 31 laps unfolding in front of our very eyes. We're just waiting on one driver, I think, to join the lobby. And we can get ourselves started. All right then. Only one more person to jump into the lobby. Let's name and shame them quickly. It's a Ferrari of Vessier. There we go then. So that is that. Yeah, good stuff indeed. Right then, we're ready to get ourselves back underway, I think. Very soon we'll be back underway. And we can get ourselves started for this Grand Prix. Of course, the qualifying was pretty eventful, but will now take us away for 31 laps around this lovely circuit. And yeah, I'm not quite sure if we're who's joining or who's not, really, to be honest. Right then, I think we'll be ready to get going very soon. I'm not quite sure if we're waiting on somebody or if they're not turning up now or whatever, but we're ready to get going. Or just double check the settings are all right, because I always like to look at the settings. Wonderful settings indeed. And yeah, fantastic, all good in the hood. Right then, right, we're just waiting for one driver. I think it's the Ferrari of Vessier there, and Mumford hasn't picked his car. So yeah, we're waiting for Mumford and Vessier to just get themselves sorted, and then we can crack on with this Grand Prix. Hopefully, anyway. So, I don't know how many tries it's going to be tonight, but we'll try and get the race started at some point today. It would be helpful if people did jump into the session. I know I was one of the latest ones, but at least I've got in and I got ready, and I'm spectating now and I'm commentating now. But yeah, unfortunately, some people don't want to pick their car, some people don't want to join and get us underway quickly enough. But hopefully they can get themselves sorted quickly, and we can get ourselves racing very quickly as well. Like I said, we've got 31 laps to unfold around here, and it looks like it's going to be a nice dry race. and it looks like it's going to be a nice dry race anyway, so we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, waiting for the people to get themselves into the lobby there. Vessia has finally joined, and we can get ourselves underway, hopefully, for the restart now of this. Well, not the restart, because the race didn't really start itself anyway, did it? But we can get ourselves back underway now for this Grand Prix. And like I said, basically with that lobby restart, it's going to be commentating for just as long as the old layout was anyway, to be honest. So I'm going to be very tired at the end of this. So please give me your sympathy votes. Set up, says Serious Mushroom there in the comment section. Do not forget your setups, or do not forget your setups for the race. Of course, you haven't got any qualifying to load your setups in now. You've just literally got to get yourself in, get yourself your setup loaded, and get the race underway. So there will be need to get your setups loaded, get everything sorted, and get everything ready now. Not quite sure still why we're not going yet, but yeah, for some reason we've got to wait, and we'll have to wait and see. We're still waiting to get going, unfortunately, but yeah, this is where the issues are with Codemasters. Like I said, we can't race until everything is set up again, and obviously we need to wait and make sure that everything is set up right, because like I said, it is a bit of a pain in the behind, pain in the diffuser, I think Sean said yesterday. To try and get your lobby set up, especially with Codemasters trying to ruin it at every corner. So you can't blame the admins, you can't blame me, thankfully, because I wasn't doing anything anyway. But you have to just blame Codemasters, unfortunately, because that is that. Right, we're ready to get going now. Like I said, we're going to go straight into the race. No qualifying in this one, because we've done the qualifying already. The drivers should be lined up when we get into the race. Get onto the grid, I should say. They should be lined up in the same positions as they finished the qualifying as well. So right then, we're ready to get going finally for the restart of this Grand Prix, as Sean has put loads of donuts there in the comment section. Great stuff indeed. Right then, once again, I think we're going to have to wait for the drivers to load their strategies and load their setups, etc. And then we can crack on for this Grand Prix. But yeah, blimey, it's going to go late into the night, this one now. Thankfully, it is a dry race, and I'm pretty sure it was set to a dry race there from the previous session. There was a previous qualifying, and of course they saw the telemetry, saw the temperatures and the tyres and the times and everything like that, and the conditions, I should say, in the race as well. So that is why it's been set to dry for this one as well. Don't forget to like, it is free. Oh, that reminds me, I need to like. Thank you. I have liked. Now I can't find the chat. Damn it. Where's the chat gone? I'm just going to close it and restart it. There we go. I'm back in the chat. Right then, we're ready to get going very soon. Only a few seconds out now to the start of the Singapore Grand Prix, and it is ready to get going now for this one as well. And hopefully we can get ourselves started very soon. Hopefully there's no more issues there for the drivers as we get ourselves underway. We're just staring at the lovely pit lane now, unfortunately, so I'm not quite sure if there's another glitch or not, but we'll just have to sit here and stare at it for the time being until we're loaded in. We are loaded in now as well. And once again, the formation lap is underway. I'm not sure what B Rabbit is up to, because he is overtaking under the formation lap, which is definitely not allowed. Right then, we have a bit of a change in the strategies there, only slightly though. Kaz is on the soft compound tyres down in P18. Golden Wolf is on the medium still in P17. And then Mumford is on the mediums once again there in P7. But everybody else is on the hard compound tyres. So they will be looking for a very nice, calm start to this Grand Prix. And no issues whatsoever there to get themselves further into the Grand Prix before pitting onto either the mediums or the softs later on. And going long in the first stint there. But we'll have to wait and see how it all unfolds. Right then, did you put Becca in it? Smithy says, I think he's talking about the grid there, but yeah, that sounds pretty dodgy. But there we go then. So I think she's spending all of her nights with peas. I shouldn't have said that. Never mind. Ignore me. Right then, Tango leads us away. Then once again, he's on pole position there for the second time on the formation lap as we go around there. The Singapore Sling there, sector 2, to finish off the formation lap. Hopefully this time without any issues, and we can get ourselves started for the Grand Prix itself. But yeah, like I said, a bit of a delay there with the lobby restart that has caused this issue. But hopefully we can get ourselves started there this time in this Grand Prix. So there we go, Tango there in P1 on pole position there with a fantastic qualifying there. B Rabbit there in P2, KD P3, Kamara Racer in P4, Mr. Elite in P5, Mr. Dylan in P6. And of course the top 6 all on the hard compound tyres there. Mumford in P7 there in the McLaren, Irvine his teammate in P8 there, but on the medium compound tyres is Mumford. Mr. Elite, Mr. Irvine, sorry, is on the hard compound tyres. So is Dopey Levens in P9 and Mr. Sweet MJP. I'm not quite sure. I'm going to keep calling everyone Mr. Sweet MJP there in P10 on the hard compound tyres. Reflection, Jinner, Vessier, Craigar, Jake the Slayer and Farf there all the way from P11 down to P16 on the hard compound tyres as well. Golden Wolf there, as I said earlier, on the medium compound tyres. So is Kaz, or Kaz is on the softs actually in P18. Collins in P19 on the hards, as is Vintage in P20. He didn't get timing in qualifying in the previous session, so he'll be starting from the back of the grid. Right then, hopefully this time we can get ourselves underway for the start of this race. It looks like it's going to be okay. It looks like it's going to be okay. The 5 ray lights are on in Singapore, and away we go here in the Marina Bay there for the Grand Prix of Silver Season 6. And it looks like Tango's got a good start there into turn 1. Oh, there's almost a bit of contact with B Rabbit there, and KD's gone wide, trying to get himself around the outside of the Mercedes driver, but he can't quite keep the position there. Unfortunately for him, he's gone into Mr. Elite there as well. Mr. Elite up into P4. He's storming past Kamara Racer on the inside. There's going to be contact there, and almost Mr. Elite off the circuit. Mumford up into P5 now, taking advantage of the Red Bull having a bit of a struggle through there as well. And on the medium compound tyres, he's going to be faster at this stage than those on the hards as well. Dylan Nurkin looking to go around the outside of Mr. Elite as well into turn 5, and he's got the move done. I think he has anyway. He has done up into P6 there, or stays in P6. Unfortunately, Mr. Elite there, after that great start, has dropped down 2 places rather than gaining any places at this stage of the race. But there's still plenty to go, plenty of laps to go, plenty of time to go in this one as well. B Rabbit, they're chasing down Tango there, but these guys have gone through in such a pace at this stage of the Grand Prix on this first lap, and they're all nose to tail within half a second of each other still on this first lap as well. They're down the order there, Kaz and Collins battling away, but this is where the battles are starting to unfold there. Swim JP is put under pressure, I should say, as Kaz has been... What's happened to Kaz? Virtual safety car as Collins is off the circuit, and I think Collins and Kaz have been involved in an incident there somehow, and Kaz is out of the Grand Prix on the first lap, and a VSC has been called out as well there. Collins, I think, is going to have to get himself back to the pit lane to change that front wing. I think Vintage is okay. Yeah, it looks like Vintage is intact still, which is good news for Vintage. You can just join up to the back of the queue here, but it's still a virtual safety car, not a full safety car here, and we have to just trundle about there and wait for the VSC to go away. Hopefully nobody speeds in the under the VSC as well to get themselves a drive through, because that can be costly, as Milan found out, as Farf is in the pit lane there. He's called it a day already on the hard compound tyres. At the end of lap 1, he's going to have to jump onto another set of tyres. Potentially there's a wing damage there to be fixed for the Alpine. Is there? No, it's just a strategic change there for Farf. Then interesting stuff indeed. Collins is going to come through, I think, get himself into the pits, into the box there to change that front wing as well. And he has got that done and dusted there. Good stuff indeed. Right then, VSC still out, but I think it could be going away very soon, as out of the pit lane comes Farf now, as here we go then. I think we're about to restart the race, hopefully very, very soon indeed, unless we're going to do the rest of this race under VSC, which will be very entertaining indeed for everybody, especially myself trying to commentate on it. But there we go then. B Rabbit is not 1 minute and 50 seconds behind. He is only a few tenths behind, but the VSC has gone back in. We are back to green flag racing here in Singapore. Mumford has got himself past Kamara Racer there. Opportune move there from the McLaren driver there on the medium compound tyres. Jerry's got himself past Irvine, has he? Irvine's having a problem there as we go into the sector. Oh, there's contact between Kamara Racer and Kamara Racer's off the circuit. Mr. Lee's got a 5-second penalty for a collision with Kamara Racer. I'm not quite sure what happened there. It's all happened too quickly, unfortunately. and we have had a massive smash there, and the gap there between Dylan and Mumford now is over 2 seconds, almost 3 seconds there, as Junior and Sweet MJP is fighting side by side. This is going to be costly for those two, as they're going to lose a lot of time there to those drivers around them as well. Here comes Dylan, Adobe Lemons I should say, making it 3 wide. Is he? No, not quite. He has to sit in behind. He has to think better of it. Collins has had another accident as well. It looks like there are yellow flags there for the Haas driver in the background there as well. Tango sets the fastest lap of the race. Mumford sets the fastest lap of the race there on the medium compound tyres, flying through now on the mediums now, trying to get himself into the DRS range there. If KD will switch onto the tyre compounds now as Craig R is flying through as well. Reflection and Vessia, all that's close indeed. Reflection and Vessia battling away, and this is getting dangerous indeed for Reflection, trying to go around the outside there of the Ferrari there. He doesn't want to get into, doesn't want to let him through it obviously, but he is getting his elbows out as well, as Hollins is off the circuit again there in sector 2, trying to get himself round and back to the pit lane as he's retired on the track as well there. It's a virtual safety car again. And that is 2 VSCs in the first 2 laps there. I'm not quite sure why Collins had to retire there. He seemed like he did it on purpose there on the track. Not to point any fingers, of course. Kumara gets it every week, says Serious Rush from there. Unfortunately, I'm not quite sure. We didn't see what happened to Kamara Racer, but he looked like through the Singapore, or the old Singapore sling there, going over the bridge, before the bridge actually. It looked like Kamara and Mr. Elite tangled, because Mr. Elite somehow ended up with a 5-second penalty there. I think it could have been Mr. Elite was absolutely blameless there, but unfortunately went into Kamara Racer there with the ghosting system not working properly, which has happened before. So we don't want to put any blame on any driver, to be honest, at the moment. Everybody's unfortunate. It's drive-through penalty for Dylan for speeding under the VSC, and that is costly indeed for his championship as well there. That is him down into P6 there, getting passed by Jenner, and he has to serve that drive-through as soon as possible there as well. That will be very costly indeed. It'll put him down the order. It'll put him back out in the realms, as Collins has left the session as well. Where would it put him indeed? Vessia and Mr. Elite battling away as well. And like I was saying, it's not in Vessia's nature to slow down and be nice to drivers, is it? Here comes Dylan there into the pit lane to serve that drive through there. Mr. Elite is coming in as well. He's going to serve that 5-second penalty. But unfortunately for him, he is not having a great time out there at this stage of the race. Of course, it could come back to them later on in this Grand Prix. You never know. So unlucky Camaro for... It says Styles, sorry, as Favre has got himself past Dylan and Mr. Elite, who have both pitted, of course, on this lap. Favre there not serving a penalty. He was actually doing a strategic change there onto the medium compound tyres at the end of lap 1 there. Here comes Kamara trying to fight back past Golden Wolf now down towards turn 5, late on the brakes, but he's not made the move just yet, as Golden Wolf goes miles off the circuit there, and Kamara's got himself through there up into P13 now, trying to fight back. But I think Kamara, with his pace that you've seen in qualifying and the opening couple of laps as well here, he can get himself back in the points quite comfortably indeed as well. He's not far off the back of the train. He's only about 2.5 seconds off the points as well. He's doing a good job. Oh, that's not good. That's him sliding through the Singapore sling sector. But thankfully he kept the car pointing in the right direction there to hold it in position to try and get after the Alpine of Jake the Slayer now into P12. But like I said, these battles will start to unfold. We'll come back to the battles there as B Rabbit has lost out to Haydee, and Tango is now 2 seconds ahead. I'm not quite sure if there was something that went on there for B Rabbit there, but he might be struggling as Tango sets the fastest lap of the race once again. KD sets the fastest lap of the race as they cross the line there. He's just inside I should say, of DRS range there is B Rabbit there. Mumford unfortunately is dropped out by 2.8 seconds there. He's going to have a bit of a race on his own at the minute. They're still always sliding through turn 2 as well. These cars are uncontrollable, it looks like, for Silver, as Irvine is in the pit lane. That is a bit early for Irvine off the hard compound tyres. Golden Wolf is in as well, so I'm not quite sure if there's unscheduled stops here for these drivers there. It's a front wing change for Irvine, unfortunately for him, and as Dylan and Mr. Elite are going to gain on them as well at this stage of the race. But yeah, unfortunate there for both drivers. Golden Wolf in for a wing change also onto the hard compound tyres. Irvine onto the mediums now as well. But like I was saying, it could all come back to them in this race. You never know, of course, with a safety car or with something else that might happen. You never know what could happen. Fingers crossed we don't have to do another lobby restart, that's all. So there we go. On to lap 5 of 31. Gino's up into P5. We'll have a look at the position changes, but Gino's up 7 places there. He's done a fantastic job in this race so far as Gino. He's got a 5-second gap to the top 4, but he's now being put under pressure from Sweet MJP there and Dopey Lemons and Vessia, who are all within 1 second of each other there behind him as well. Going to be bearing down on that Haas as quickly as possible indeed. B Rabbit's dropped out of that 1 second window to KD, but the ERS light flashing away there on the Red Bull ahead of him in P2. That could entice him to get himself back in that range, as he is back in that range just about, I think. Maybe just enough to get himself in DRS. They're down the main straight once again. No, not quite, unfortunately for him. Sweet MJP there is almost out of 1 second of Jinna's range as well. It could be tight indeed. Could Jinna get himself away, get himself that gap there, and leave the rest to fight behind him and not have to worry about it as well, which would be good stuff indeed. But it looks like he's just about got that 1.1 second gap there. That's what he needs there to try and escape the Williams, the Alfa Romeo, and the Ferrari right behind him. Fantastic stuff so far. Unfortunately, 2 retirements in the opening 2 laps as well. It was Collins and Kaz. They both came together there. That cost Kaz his place in the race, and then Collins decided to take pity on him and do the same thing on the next lap. But there we go then. Here comes Dopey Lemons there round the outside of Sweet MJP. He's up into P6. He's got the move done. Apologies, I didn't want to be rude on stream. And now here comes Vessia trying to go down the inside there of Sweet MJP there. For some reason, he's still battling away. And up into P7 there as well. Sweet MJP has lost out there to the Ferrari. Dopey Lemons has now got himself within range of Jinna as well. Jinna's had a bit of trouble there on the previous lap. It looks like there's now in that 1 second window comes the Alfa Romeo there of Dopey Lemons there. He is now the lead Alfa Romeo on track there after, of course, Dylan had to make his unscheduled stop, or unscheduled drive-through, wasn't it, for Dylan, wasn't it? So unfortunately for him, he's having to fight his way back in this race. But we've seen Milan fight back in the race yesterday in gold, and he got himself back in the points as well. So let's see what Dylan can do. I'm sure he can. I'm sure he can try his best to get himself back into the realms of the points, as is Kamara Racer, who is now up into 11th. I've missed his overtake on Jake the Slayer, but he's now 1.8 seconds behind Craig R there, fighting for the final points pen position. So he's done a great job indeed. Has Kamara there to recover after the shenanigans or whatever happened there in the bridge section on lap 3, I think it was. But good stuff from Kamara there. He's soldiering on at this stage of the race. Good stuff from him indeed. And we were looking forward to seeing what he can do. Hopefully he can get himself back in the points there, because he deserves some points after the difficult few races that he's had already this season, or the last few races there. He's had accidents, incidents and galore, and it was just unfortunately he couldn't finish the Grand Prix. Fingers crossed this time he can finish the Grand Prix. We'll have to wait and see in about 20 something laps, or 22 laps, 23 laps time here in Singapore. But at the moment, Sweet MJP there is trying to get himself back past Vessia. Vessia is trying to catch back up to Dopey Lemons, who's lost out that 1 second window of Jinna now. So there is still something to play for here for these drivers there. B Rabbit, they're dropping out of the order. They've caught up a bit to Tango there. 1.7 seconds now the gap to the race leader for KD and for B Rabbit. So that's not looking too bad as it was in the previous laps. Well, it was about 2.8 seconds at one point, wasn't it? They've really reeled in Tango as much as they can. Reflection now all over the back of Sweet MJP as we go down the straight towards Sector 3. I don't want to call it Raffles Boulevard like Sean does, because I think that's wrong, but I don't know what the actual name of it is, unfortunately. So there we go. Perhaps somebody can Google it and enlighten me in the comment section. Here comes Reflection though, all over the back of the Williams of Sweet MJP there. Can he make a move there like Liam Yare did, the torpedo, into the penultimate corners around this lap as well? But he thinks better of it. Very wise indeed from Reflection there, not to incur the wrath of anybody. Well, I'm sure Sweet MJP were just as happy as I was if he saw somebody overtaking him there. But yeah, there we go. B Rabbit there back in the DRS once again there, and they're still 1.8 seconds behind. Mumford is now 7 seconds behind the top 3 there. The gap really extending indeed, and now the medium tyres I should say, are starting to drop off a bit now, because the gap was about 5.5 seconds. It's now down to 4.8 there to Jinna in P5, and the gap is coming down. Dopey Lemons are now within DRS, so is Vessia, and Sweet MJP unfortunately is having to battle with Reflection rather than look ahead. He has now been passed there, back down to P9 there for Sweet MJP there, up into P8 for the Mercedes driver. And now can he set his sights there on the gap ahead? 2.5 seconds to Vessia in P7, and we'll have to wait and see. Camaro's all over the back of Craig R there, fighting for the final points pay position as it stands, but it looks like it's a question of when not if Kamara can get himself past the AlphaTauri. They're looking great indeed to recover in this Grand Prix with some great pace from the Aston Martin there. And now in the background, Vintage, they're trying to keep up with Farf in P14 there. Of course, Farf has pitted in this Grand Prix, so technically he could go to the end of the Grand Prix, but I don't think his tyres will hold on as well. Here comes Kamara now, back into the points paying positions now with Kamara up into P10, and now chasing down the pack ahead of him. These few drivers ahead, as he's having a bit of trouble trying to control the car, though. That is the error that unfortunately has cost Kamara in these Grand Prix recently. There, just keeping control of the car in some stages there has cost him his place in the Grand Prix, because he's lost control, and that is Golden Wolf out of the race as well. It's a safety car here as the third safety car technically, because we have had a two VSCs already. Nobody has come in the pit lane. The leaders, of course, have already past the safety car. So interesting stuff indeed. Craig R is in the pit lane, so is Jake the Slayer. Yeah, that is interesting stuff indeed. I'm not quite sure what happened to Golden Wolf there, coming through into the where was it? I'm not quite sure where it was either, to be honest. But there we go then. Irvine carries on. He's on the fresh and medium compound tyres. He has just stopped on the start-finish line though, which is interesting stuff. Yeah, Irvine, of course, carrying on there. There's some drivers who've made a pit stop here, and some who have not. And Craig R there has lost out to Irvine as well at this stage of the Grand Prix, but they can go past the safety car, as the rest of them have done as well. Right then. Jenna start. Well, we'll have a look at the position changes there, but Jenna wasn't in P19 off the start. He was in P12. So yeah, he wasn't. P19 was, I think, Vintage or Collins, I think. But yeah, unfortunately, he is only up 7 places, not up 14 places. Well, there we go then. Safety car is out then, as we've got everyone trying to catch up to the safety car queue. Now, this is good news for Dylan, for Mr. Elite there, and for those who have had issues there at the beginning of the race, I should say, to get himself caught up now to the safety car queue. Mr. Elite is right at the back there. He is the one who is going to have to catch up there. All the top drivers, or the top of the order, I should say, are in the pit lane. Is Mumford going to come in? Mumford is coming in as well. Oh, he almost crashed into the pit entry there, it looked like. I'm not sure if there was lag there, but it looked like it was just him struggling to driving into the pit lane in neutral. There was as SweMJP has got. Sorry, I didn't know what was happening there. SweMJP has got himself up in the order there, up into P2. It looks like. He can't get himself ahead of Tango, who has come out in P1. Yeah, unfortunately, therefore, who was I talking about? I can't remember who it was now. Yeah, it looks like some drivers they're carrying on at this stage, and Mumford there is going to have to yield there to Vintage, who has got himself ahead there into P6, and Mumford there down into P7 there. Of course, there is a few drivers there who now pitted for fresh mediums compared to the used hards. As Kamara has stayed out, I think that might be a bit of a dangerous play for Kamara as well. Those on the fresh mediums there will easily be blitzing past those on the older hards, and that could be very costly for those drivers who stayed out there on the restart here. But there we go then. We are cracking on there. Lap 10 of 31 then. We're only a third of the way through. Blimey, it's been a long night for me already. Yeah, I'm going to have to I'm going to earn me money tonight, I think, commentating on this one. We've had 2 VSCs, 1 safety car. This is the safety car, by the way. So far, that is only a third of the race done and dusted. So we've got plenty of action still to come, I would imagine. Plenty more safety cars to come as well, it sounds like. So, yeah. So long as you keep it on the track, then that is what's going to be useful for yourself and for the rest of the drivers there, and for me to go to bed at some point in this evening, rather than in the daylight hours, the dark hours of Tuesday morning. Yeah, fingers crossed we can get ourselves to the finish line quicker than that. We have got to wait, unfortunately, for Dylan, for Mr. Elite, and for Farf to catch up to the safety car queue. The problem that Mr. Elite and Dylan are going to face is that the safety car might get bored of waiting for them here and just come in anyway. So they do need to get a move on, though. They might not think so, but they do need to get a move on them, because otherwise they will. It will be a full foul of starting a bit too far back from the safety car train when it does get itself back in the pit lane. I think at the end of this lap. Well, not this lap now. When it starts lap 11, then we will, of course, we will of course of course come in itself now. It will just give up on waiting for Mr. Elite and Dylan now, and it will come back to the pit lane now. So we should be able to get ourselves underway on lap 12 for some green flag running. ERS is poor, says Serious Rushman. It's impossible to save, says Liam in the comment section there. Well, like I was saying, it's not around here. It's just because of the high wings, as Liam I think has said as well. Yeah, they're stealing the knowledge. It's what I do. Got to steal the knowledge sometimes. As Into the Pits comes Farf again, so he's called it a day already on the medium compound tyres. Mr. Elite is trying to catch up, but I don't think he's going to get himself past Farf here, actually. Yes, he is. Maybe he is. I'm not quite sure. And Dylan is just about getting himself down the main straight there, so to try and catch up to the pack as well. So hopefully they'll be able to catch up just in time there for the restart of this Grand Prix, which will be the end of this lap there. On the end of lap 11, sorry, beginning of lap 12 there, we'll get ourselves back underway for this Grand Prix. Farf's back in, says Serious Mushroom. He's in, out, shake it all about, is Farf. Smart move, says Mushroom as well. Yeah, I think the hard runners, or those who have pitted for the fresh hards, will be more comfortable getting to the end. We did see quite a lot of drivers yesterday in gold go from lap 9 on the medium compound tyres to the end of the Grand Prix as well. It was quite a hefty stint indeed, but they managed it in some cases. My teammate Marky managed to do it just about. So it is possible to get to the end from here on medium compound tyres. It will be a struggle indeed, though. And so those are going on to the fresh hards like Farf, like Dylan, I think might be in a better position come the end of the race, of course, and they could be able to get themselves some easy positions as well if they can sneak their way through. Right then, on to lap 12 we're going to go. I think the safety car will be in this lap. It's not coming in this lap, which means I'm going to go for a break. And I mean it as well. No, it's something in this lap. It's a late call. Blimey, that was a very late call indeed there. Tango has to slow the pack down very quickly. Thankfully, the safety car is now in the pit lane, so we can get ourselves restarted. And Tango there very quickly gets the race back underway as we start off onto lap 12 now, as SweetMJP and KD are battling away, but I think KD is going to breeze past the Williams driver very quickly indeed on those old hards. Camaro and Mumford and Vintage battling away. Vintage, of course, on the old hard compound tyres as well. Vessia and Dopey Lemon switching places into turn 2 and 3, and there's all action all over the place as Vintage has been passed now by everybody. I think he's trying to let everyone through safely here as well, because the problem is now that Vintage on the old hard compound tyres is being swamped there by those on the fresh mediums, as Bree Rabbit has got himself into P3 there, getting himself past SweetMJP. Dopey Lemon's past Vintage as well there. They're all clambering over the back of the AlphaTauri now as well. Here they come there on Camaro Racer as well. These two on the hard compound tyres are going to be struggling like hell now compared to those on the medium compound tyres, and this is where it could get chaotic as well. There could be more incidents, there could be more dangers here for those drivers, as here comes Mumford there on the attack now on Camaro Racer. If I was Camaro Racer, I'd just yield there, because there's no chance I'm going to get past that car, as Camaro there is off the circuit and he's out of the Grand Prix, and that is a big smash indeed. It's another safety car here. And Camaro, like I was saying, I think your best bet there, unfortunately for Camaro, and I hate to say it because he doesn't want to, but you have to just yield there, because that is not a fight that you're going to come out on top of in that situation, unfortunately. On those old hard compound tyres, you could just tell off the restart that the mediums were going to be absolutely on fire compared to the old hards, and of course trying to get the warm-up through the hard compound tyres is going to be much more difficult. And I think that was inevitable there, to be honest. Going through into the old Singapore sling section on old hard compound tyres compared to fresh mediums there, and trying to battle side by side is not going to work out in your favour, unfortunately there. So, yeah, big shame there for Camaro Racer. He's the fourth retirement of this Grand Prix. SweetMJP there has entered the pit lane to get off those hard compound tyres. I think he's realised that the hard compound tyres on the next restart probably wouldn't go down well at all. But that is a big shame indeed. Not too sure about that. The difference in tyres is ridiculous. Again, 16-second on Nosey in 10 laps. Damn, he made me read it out as well. Right then, everyone back in the pit lane pretty much, and away we go for the attempt number 2. Well, this is technically the fourth safety car. We've got 2 VSCs, 2 safety cars now, and unfortunately for Camaro Racer, that is that is being costly indeed. Golden Wolf We didn't see what happened to him. He just disappeared off into a wall, it looked like, on his own, but which is a bit of a shame there. Golden Wolf out of this Grand Prix as well, and Collins and Kaz were the causes of the first 2 VSCs. So yeah, interesting stuff indeed. Unfortunately, all retirements have caused a VSC or a safety car in some sort of order, as we can hopefully just get on with the race now and get to the end of it, because we're not even halfway through and we've had four VSC or 4 variations of a safety car. Yeah, I'm getting tired. You couldn't tell, could you, from my commentary, which is really getting a bit strange. Keza B has said something. I don't get why people stay out there on the safety car. Fresh tyres on this game are 3 seconds a lap faster. Exactly that. Yeah, even if it means doing a 2-stop instead of a 1-stop, I think it's worthwhile pitting there from the pitting from older tyres there to at least have the fresher tyres for the restart, only because you're going to gain so many places there for those. If everybody stayed out and Irvine was the only one who pitted there, Irvine would be able to gain about 10 positions there in the first 2 laps there after the safety car restart. So he would technically be able to make up a pit stop that he would have lost under the safety car by just pitting for fresh tyres, which is why I completely agree with Kez's point there, as Vintage is going off the circuit there. Completely agree with Kez's point there, because like I said, if you're under a safety car as well, you don't lose much time in the pit lane, and you gain so much time back on the restart with the fresher tyres as well. So yeah, unfortunately, 11 lap old hards compared to 2 lap old mediums is no contest in my opinion, and that is what that has resulted there in Kamara Racer's retirement in this Grand Prix, which has cost him his place in the points. He was back in the points as well after a difficult start, but yeah, it's a big shame indeed. And like I said, I think that's my point proven. Just yeah. Okay, words have been said there. Everyone should have boxed, no questions asked. I don't get the people's mindset, says Keza as well. But yeah, unfortunately, I mean, that is fair to. Well, you're allowed to stay out. Of course, there's no rule saying you have to pit under a safety car. If it was a red flag, it might be different. But thankfully, we don't have those either. I think I'm losing my voice. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, who knows? Oh, brilliant. What the... Can you hear me? Oh, I don't know. Yeah, well, you can hear me, you can't hear me, you're just going to have to deal with it. Right then. Dopey Lemons is up into P4 there. Gino and him battling away once again, and Gino there has been involved in a couple of incidents at that corner already this race, and thankfully backed out of that one. So that was quite clever from Gino this time. Reflection now is in this battle as well. Reflection doing a great job actually. He had a very difficult first half of the season there, but he's been able to get some good points under his belt there recently in the Mercedes there, and looking to get himself further up the order, which is fantastic stuff indeed from Reflection. He's really just committed to it and got on with it, even though he was struggling, and now is back up into the point pay positions. Here comes Favre there trying to go for a dive on Craig R, and I'm not sure if it's going to come off, but it hasn't come off just yet, but he's now got the power there. He's right behind the AlphaTauri there, but unfortunately they're stuck behind V Vessier, who's got a 3-second gap there to the drivers ahead of him as well, and I'm not quite sure if Vessier has had an issue there. 200p picks up a 3-second penalty. That is the only penalty there of the night, of course, after the drive-throughs and 5-second penalties, etc., have been served already in the pit lanes. So that is that then. And we'll have to wait and see who's going to be next to try and go for an overtake. It looks like Favre is pushing Craig R through around the circuit here. No ERS left in the Alpine of Favre there, but trying to get himself past Vessier as well here. As we go into turn one, it's close indeed. There's almost contact between the two of them on the diffusers to the front wing, but thankfully they've been come through unscathed there. Craig R wants to get a move on here, I think, because Favre is not going to get any less patient, I suppose you could say. Here comes Craig R now. DRS available there in the AlphaTauri there. Can he go to the inside? Can he go to the outside there? He's going to go for the inside there of turn 5, and he's gone down the inside there. Oh, he's locked up the brakes as well. Or was there contact? He's got himself through. He's been passed though by Jake the Slayer and Favre, and now down to P10 unfortunately for Craig R. That move there for P7 has cost him down to P10 unfortunately for the AlphaTauri driver, and Dylan is now breathing down his neck as well. Out in the top of the field, it's gone a bit quiet there. Dopey Lemons now 7 seconds off the top 3. The top 3 have really blitzed off in the distance. Although they're not within DRS range of each other, they're really getting setting some fantastic pace here as well. Gino is now under pressure from Reflection, who's doing a fantastic job, like I was saying earlier. Here comes Favre there on Vessier. Now he's got himself past the AlphaTauri of Craig R. He's going to go on the attack now on Vessier as well into the Sector 3 section. Now onto the new straight of this fantastic circuit as well. ERS like flashing away there for Favre there. Can he make a move yet on the Ferrari? Not quite, as we go into the penultimate corner there. Oh, there's contact between the two of them, I think, as well. Dylan's got himself past Craig R now and up into... Oh, Vessier is in the pit lane, I think. He's coming back into the pit lane as the Ferrari driver there. He's called it a day there on the medium compound tyres after only 9 laps. And that is it for him as well. Mumford has got himself back past... Oh, no, sorry. Irvine's got himself past his teammate. Craig R's lost out to Dylan, and now 300p is coming through as well. And here comes the McLaren of Irvine as well, all over the back of the AlphaTauri. I think the AlphaTauri's already got used up that medium compound tyre already. He's done 10 laps, or this is his 11th lap actually, on those medium compound tyres now. So I think it might be done and dusted there for the mediums there for Craig R. He could jump on to another set now and go to the end of the Grand Prix, but he's gone deep on the brakes, and that is him into the wall. He's managed to slide himself very carefully in the end, away from the danger, I think, of losing his front wing there, and he has got himself back underway in this race very quickly indeed as well. But unfortunately, that costly braking error there into turn 5 has cost him his place in the or potential there for the top 10 as it stands. There could still be something to bring him back in this race. What's happened to Tango there? Tango's lost the momentum there in the lead of this Grand Prix as we go down towards the penultimate corner there for the 19th time. And unfortunately, I'm not quite sure. He was about over 1 second in the lead at one point. I'm not quite sure what's happened to Tango. He's lost out there. B Rabbit now trying to catch up to the pack as well. But they haven't lost any time to Dopey Lemons there, so I'm not quite sure what happened there. Mr. Elite picked up a 3 to come back with that. Is bad news for him. That will be added onto his race time at the end of lap 31 as Cady now putting the pressure on Tango for the lead of this Grand Prix. It must have been a mistake there from Tango. We didn't see it, but unfortunately he's now only half a second ahead of the Red Bull, who is charging here in the attack there for the lead of the Grand Prix, as is B Rabbit now within DRS there of the top 2 as well. Here we come now down the main straight, down the first straight, I suppose you could say, towards turn 5. No moves being made there. B-Rabbit needs to try and catch up to this pack in case anything goes wrong there for Cady and Tango. He can try and capitalise there and take the lead of the Grand Prix here. But now he's just trying to bide his time, I think, here, and being very sensible about it as well. 9 seconds now. The gap. Reflection and Jinner battling away there into turn 5. It's close. It's side by side there as we go towards turn 6 as well now. I'm not quite sure what Jinner was doing there, trying to put his elbows out. But yeah, I think Reflection just being very careful there as well. And he knows it's not worth fighting like that because it's just going to cost them both time and positions in this Grand Prix as well, which is very clever indeed from Reflection there. That is talented driving, to say the least, there from Reflection, and he's not wanting to get himself caught up in any incidents. He's going to wait for his next opportunity there and breeze past, and I'm sure he will very soon there with the aid of DRS as well. Farf is catching up to this battle as well on the hard compound tyres. Farf and Dylan there are in a strong position here. I think they could get their tyres will be very dead towards the end of the Grand Prix, but they could get themselves comfortably to the end of the Grand Prix, I think, here. Cady is taking the lead there. Tango is in the pit lane, so Tango's calling it a day there on the medium compound tyres there. An undercut's looking here, well, an undercut for the Aston Martin, that is, potentially as well now, as Cady takes the lead of the Grand Prix into turn 2 and 3 for lap 21 there. Dopey Lemons goes past Tango, who is onto a fresh set of medium compound tyres with 11 laps to go here. He will be out in the pack, though. Look at this. There's a big gaggle of cars. They're coming through, and he's going to be down the order there, unfortunately, as his Vintage's pit, though. It's Vintage in the pits as well to get off those old medium compound tyres. They're down into P13 is the race leader, but he's going to have to try and get through all of this pack there. Look at this. It's within a few tenths of a second of each other as well. They're not going to be letting anyone through easily as well. Here comes Reflection. They're back on Jenner as well. Their elbows are out once again from the Haas driver. Here comes SwearMJP there on Jake the Slayer as well, down towards turn 5. Irvine in the mix as well for P10 at the moment, trying to poke his nose in there as well. Vessia picks up a penalty, and that is going to be costly, I think, for Vessia, who is down in P15, unfortunately, at the moment. But he's got himself a 3-second penalty there that's going to be added onto his race time at the end of the Grand Prix. And yeah, like Skezza said, the top 3 really setting the pace there. Tango, of course, has pitted. He's got himself past Mr. Elite there, but he's now right in this fight there for the with the rest of the pack. And is he going to try and go around the outside there of Mumford, trying to duck down the inside now as we go through the hairpin? And he's got the move done up into P11 there with a fantastic overtake as well. A switchback indeed there from the Aston Martin driver, and up into P11 now, chasing down after the next McLaren of Irvine. And of course, with the extra ERS, well, he's not got much ERS to play with, I should say. With the extra grip, I should say, on the medium compound tyres there, he's going to breeze past. Indeed, I think he has breezed past up into P10 now, back up into the points paying positions there. Nobody else is pitted, I don't think, from the lead of this Grand Prix. Everyone else staying out there, so this could be make or break, as Reflection is retired. Well, what's happened there to Reflection? It's on the straight. Farf has been included in that as well. There's no front wing there for Farf. Yeah, no comment. I'm just going to have to say no comment on that. I mean, yeah. 300p picks up a 5-second penalty for something or other. We'll have to review that after the race, and it will be removed because I don't think that was warranted for 300p either, to be honest. Whatever's happened there was just yeah, I can't even comment on that. It was a disaster, to be honest. How do you crash on a straight? Safety car is out for the third time in this race. And I think I'm just going to call it time in the comments box, to be honest, because I'm going to go to bed instead. It's almost 9 o'clock then. I wanted to be in bed by now, but unfortunately I've got to do commentating on whatever's going on here. Reflection out of the Grand Prix. He was up into, I think he was up in P6 or P5 even. He was battling with Jinner at one point, wasn't he? Yeah, so it must have been P5. And he is now out of this race, completely out of this race as well. Into the pits comes KD and B Rabbit. That is bad news indeed for Tango. Let's see what is going to happen here for Tango as well. Onto the softs goes KD. I'm not quite sure if they're going to last, unfortunately, for KD. Farf is trying to get himself past SweetMJP somehow as well. He's going to have to double stack behind his teammate there of Jake the Slayer, who is 2 positions ahead of him as well. Tango coming round now. He's going to have to carry on and go for it now. Is Tango. Hopefully he can get himself back up into the top positions, but I think he might be down in P3 unfortunately for Tango, which is bad news indeed. The good news is that KD and B Rabbit have gone onto the soft compound tyres, as has Dopey Lemons and Jinner. I'm not quite sure, we'll have to wait and see, but we're not quite sure if the soft compound tyres will get to the end of the race from here. It will be close indeed. The tyre wear is ferocious around this circuit as usual. So we'll have to wait and see how it all unfolds. But yeah, not quite sure what is going on there as well. Softs is criminal, says Liam as well. Softs are stuffed, says Serious Mushroom. So nobody agrees with me. Sorry, they do agree with me. They think the softs won't get to the end of the Grand Prix. Craig R has stayed out. So has SweetMJP. He's onto the medium compound tyres actually, is SweetMJP. Vintage has stayed out there. 2-lap old medium compound tyres. Up into the points now is the other AlphaTauri driver. Good stuff from him. And now the safety car has caught up the rest of the queue. Vessia is back in the pit lane now, as we're just waiting for those who have made their later stops there to catch up to the safety car queue. I don't think the safety car will be too long this time. Which is thankful for me because I'm done. But yeah, I think we'll be 1 or 2. I think we'll be end of lap 24. I think we'll be back underway. So yeah, that'll be 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. 7 laps of racing. 7 laps of green flag racing, that is. And then, of course, the 2 laps or so under the safety car as well. I'm not quite sure the softs will be able to make it to the end, or they won't be very good at the end, of course. We saw the medium compound tyres really sort of start to fade out with only 10 laps done on them for the likes of Craig R. So the softs to have to do 7 laps to get to the end, and that's at full pace without the safety car laps, which will still include wear on those tyres as well. I don't think they'll be the best tyre to be on as we go to the end of the race. SweetMJP might be in with a good shout, so could Craig R, Vintage and Tango here, I think. Potentially, we'll have to wait and see. Right, just Vessia and Mumford to catch up to the queue now, and we can get ourselves, hopefully, racing once again then. 24, like I said, the end of lap 24, I think we should be restarting. Well, fingers crossed we'll be restarting anyway. At some point I want to get this race restarted so we can get to the end of the race as well. But up 8 positions there for Jake Sledge, up 7 for Jinner, up 5 for Dopey Lemons there, 2 for KD as well. Craig R up 5 places as well in P9, good stuff from him. Vintage up 10 places there, of course, starting from the back of the grid there. And that is that there so far in this race. But it looks like Mumford and Vessia have stayed out, so they're going to catch up with the queue now very shortly. And like I was saying, hopefully we can get ourselves restarted at the end of lap 24 for the final time, please, to the end of the Grand Prix. And then we can just sort out all of this mess as well, because yeah, not quite sure what is going on here. But there we go then. Well, I've got cramp in my foot as well. It's not good news. It hurts. Oh. Right then, Vessia just catching up to the queue now as we can get ourselves restarted then here in Singapore for the goodness God, I've lost count of how many times we've restarted this race, to be honest. But yeah, there we go then. KD will now restart the race, of course, after making that stop under the safety car for the soft compound tyres. The problem that Tango's going to have as well on the medium compound tyres is that he's going to have to try and keep up with these drivers, and they are going to be setting some pretty good pace indeed on the fresh soft compound tyres until the temperature comes through and the wear starts to kick in as well. So he needs to try and stay as close as possible there. Safety car is in this lap there. KD will be leading us away then. I'm not sure he realised the safety car is in this lap. Now he has. So that is good news indeed. Right then, we are going to be underway on the beginning of lap 25 then. Like I was saying, 7 laps to go if we are green flag racing from 25 to the checkered flag, that is. So we will have to wait and see who is going to come out on top. Yeah, the soft's going to be the right call. Oh, the medium's going to be the right call. Of course, you still have to do at least 10 laps on the medium compound tyres to get to the end of the Grand Prix after they've already started to put the laps on them as well. So, yeah, it's not all done and dusted just yet. We'll have to wait and see how it all unfolds. And KD has booted it, and away he goes there in the Red Bull there. B-Rabbit, they're trying to stick with him. Tango's done a great job on that restart as well to stay with the Mercedes driver as well. So this is looking good indeed for Tango if it can hold on to this pace as well. This is fantastic stuff indeed, because he needs to try and keep within that range of the soft compound tyre runners. And then, of course, you capitalise there when their tyres start to drop off. Getting past Irvine there for P12. But I think it might be under investigation there for that. Whatever happened with reflection there on the main straight there, we'll have to wait and see what happened there, because of course Favre came off. Well, reflection came off the worst, of course, but Favre had no front wing as well. Here comes Giller there on Dopey Lemons there, diving down the inside there into turn 5. Dopey Lemons with the switchback there, with a fantastic switchback indeed as well. And now Dylan is looking interested in the back of that Haas as well, but he's not been able to get himself through. Gino there is having to slot in behind Dopey Lemons. He's in a bit of an Alfa Romeo sandwich now. All clouting the wall there is the Haas driver as we go down towards the Singapore Sling section, I suppose you could say, because I can't remember what it's called exactly, but it used to be called the Singapore Sling before they reprofiled it, of course. Tango's done a fantastic job here, actually. He stayed within half a second there of the top 2, and this is exactly what he needs to do. I think he can get the win back of this race in the last few laps here. Tyre wear is going to be important. Tyre temperature is going to be important. In the background, Mr. Elite is trying to push Jake the Slayer through the corners here as he's trying to make his way up into the order as well. Jake the Slayer's got a 3-second penalty there. That is bad news for him. Mr. Elite almost into the side of the Alpine as well as we go down towards the down the new straight there, down towards the final couple of corners there. Mr. Elite down the inside there has got the move done, I think, has he? He's up into P7 for the time being there. They're going to go side by side again, it looks like, and this is not where you want to go side by side as KD sets the last lap of the race, of course, leading us away there on the safety car restart there. Down the inside goes Jake the Slayer, but he has to bide his time. He has to back out there, and Mr. Elite is up into P7 now. Vintage is a wily old fox, says Mushroom. And come on, Alpha as well. Alpha are getting themselves up the order there. They've got themselves into P4 and P6 at the moment, but here comes Dylan there on the back of Jinner, and Jinner is also on the back of Dopey Lemons there. Like I was saying, this battle is going to be raging on, I think, for the rest of this Grand Prix, and it could cost an incident later on in the Grand Prix. We've seen both those drivers trying to keep their elbows out. Not so much Dylan there, the other two trying to keep their elbows out there to avoid anybody getting past in the earlier stages of this Grand Prix, and this is it could end in disaster if they're going to do that anymore as well. 1 second is the gap there to B-Rabbit there from KD. 1 second, 1.2 seconds now is the gap between B-Rabbit and Tango there. The soft compound tyres really kicking in now as well. They've got them warmed up and got them ready to go, but of course that means that they're going to be wearing them out quicker as well. So it could be a 1 win and a 1 loss, or 1 step forward, 2 steps back sort of thing, if they can't get it right, if they can't get to the end of the Grand Prix from here. There is still 5 laps to go there at the beginning of lap 27, so they've still got 5.5 laps at least to finish off here, plus the laps they've already done on those tyres as well, which are now 4 as they cross the line to finish off lap 26. So that is going to be 4 laps. There's going to be another 5 laps. They're going to have to do 10 laps, I suppose you could say, on those tyres. And now the DRS has been re-enabled. This could be good news for B-Rabbit. They're trying to get himself away from Tango as much as he can there with the DRS there on KD. Down the back of the order, Dylan trying to get himself past Jinner there. Jinner's lost out there the 1 second window to Dopey Lemons, which is great news for Dylan. He can try and get himself past the Haas driver and try and provide a bit of protection there for Dopey Lemons as well in P4. If he can get himself through there on the Haas, that is, as we can see, Jinner there is not going to put up any, Jinner is going to put up a defence, I'm sure, as we go down. Is he going to go down the inside, down the outside? Which way is he going to go there? In towards turn 5 and around the outside we go, and Jinner has gone very wide indeed and over the curb still as well, so that is very aggressive defending there from the Haas driver. Mr. Elite is, Jinner has had an accident. Jinner's gone into the wall there, and that is that going to be another safety car? Please not. Please don't be. Please no. Jinner is out of the Grand Prix. I think he was pushing too hard there in the Haas. Unfortunately, that has cost him his place in the Grand Prix on lap 27. Thankfully, it's not a safety car. Oh, breathe again. Whew. There's your driver of the day pole, B Rabbit, Dopey Lemons and Ginner. Unfortunately, Ginner now out of the Grand Prix. I think it's only a two-way fight now in the driver of the day pole. There is your position changes though. B Rabbit there in P2, started P2 there. Dopey Lemons up from P9 on the grid. Craigar is my shout as well, to be fair. Craigar could gain a few places there with the penalties for Jake the Slayer and Mr. Elite. It could be a P6 finish there for Craigar as well. Dylan has done a good job there fighting back. Unfortunately, as Kamara Racer and Mumford battling away as well now. Not Kamara Racer, sorry. I had Kamara on the brain. But Mumford and Farf battling away there. And Farf up into P11 now as he gets himself up the order there in just outside the top 10 as well. There is your position changes. Like I was saying there, you're only two pretty much in the standings. In the drive of the day poll, I should say, in the comment section of the stream is Dopey Lemons and B Rabbit there. Unfortunately, Ginner is retired from this Grand Prix after that big smash there on the last lap there. 3.5 laps to go now. B Rabbit has got himself within the range now of KD for the lead of this Grand Prix. Could the championship leader there try and steal back the race lead and steal the race win from under the nose there of the reserving KD here in Singapore? Tango, unfortunately, is 2.6 seconds behind this pair now, and it doesn't look like he's going to be able to get himself back in range there. That DRS has really helped B Rabbit there try and extend the gap there to the Aston Martin driver, who unfortunately came a cropper there of the safety car going out at the wrong time there. Mr. Elite is all over the back of Dylan now. Jake the Slayer is in this battle as well. Craigar though is looking to fight for some points, I think, here as well, and he could be within the range of getting himself potentially a P5 here as well. It could go his way. We'll have to wait and see. Jake the Slayer has lost out of the DRS range there of Mr. Elite there, and we'll come back to this battle because all the fighting at the moment is down the back of the field there for the final points paying positions as well. Into sector 3 we go there. Vessia all over the back of Mumford now. And Mumford, they're just shielding him off there. He doesn't want to let anyone through then. He doesn't have to let anyone through, of course. So that is fair play from Mumford there. He's not going too aggressive there, but he's just getting his elbows out to make sure that everyone's aware of where he's going to position his car as Ginner has left the session now. Unfortunately for Ginner there, he's the 6th retirement here in the Singapore Grand Prix. We only had one retirement in the pit lane as well yesterday in gold, and unfortunately it has not stayed the same here for silver this season. They've had a bit of a troubled time here in Singapore tonight, but at the moment we're still going, so we just got to sit here and bide our time. B Rabbit can't make a move for the lead of the race at this stage. We're on to lap 29. He's only going to have a few more laps to go. We've got 3 laps to go here, I should say, as Mr. Elite there is trying to battle there, trying to get himself within range of Dylan there, who's I think struggling a bit now on the soft compound tyres. He's lost out to his teammate 2.4 seconds now. I think the softs might start getting in the range now of dropping off, which is where the medium runners could come into the fray. Craigar was 1.5 seconds back behind on the last lap. He's now 1.1 seconds behind Jake the Slayer as well at this stage of the race. This is fantastic stuff for Craigar. He's getting himself closer and closer there on those medium compound tyres there towards the end of this race as well, and it is looking pretty good indeed. He's going to have some DRS as well down this straight, which is fantastic news indeed. He could jump the likes of Jake the Slayer and Mr. Elite on penalties with the account back there. Of course, those penalties being added on at the end of the race for those two. Sweet MVP is sticking with them as well on the medium compound tyres there. Irvine in P10 just staying with these guys too. He could get himself pulled along there and at least get himself back in the points there. Unfortunately for Mumford and Vessia, they're not in the realms just yet. They're same for Farf at this stage as well. The DRS is really helping Irvine at this stage of the race to stay within that top 10 position as it stands. B Rabbit is back up into the into P2, I should say, but he's trying to fight back, trying to fight for the lead of this Grand Prix, I should say. He hasn't been in the lead of the race at all so far in this Grand Prix, but could he steal it on lap 31 of 31 as well? Down towards turn 5 again. There's no moves being made there for the Mercedes driver. Let's have a look further back there. 3.8 seconds now is the gap between Tango and the top 2, I should say. Unfortunately for Tango, I don't think that's going to be it's not going to be very favourable for him. Here comes Craigar there on Jake the Slayer. He's got himself up into P7 now and past the Alpine and up into P7 now. He's got himself a 1.7 second gap to get himself after Mr. Elite now as well. And I think the soft compound tyres on Jake the Slayer's car are fading fast. Look at this. Sweet MVP is all over the back of him now with the medium compound tyres, albeit on 7 lap old mediums as well. but he's all over the back of that Alpine. Now the soft compound tyres, I think, are really dying off here, which is bad news indeed there for those who have decided to go on the soft compound tyres in that safety car period. But SwimGP, I think, will make easy work there of the Alpine as we go down the next straight there. DRS, of course, available for the Williams car as well, and he breezes past as well up into P8 there for the Williams. Great stuff indeed, a great overtake indeed, and well planned as well. But yeah, unfortunately, I think, like I said, the soft compound tyres, and we were saying in the comment section, the soft compound tyres were not going to work out there, but it looks like it could be on the final lap there. KD and B Rabbit, they're battling away once again into turn 1 and 2. Can there be a move there for the lead of the Grand Prix there on the final lap of this race as well? KD's off the circuit. KD's gone. He's lost the car. He's down into P2 there. Now I think he might have DRS there on B Rabbit now, which is quite wily indeed. But no, B Rabbit has the DRS, and unfortunately KD, whatever happened there, he ghosted thankfully. Otherwise he would have collected B Rabbit as well. But he's lost the lead of the Grand Prix there on the final lap, unfortunately, for KD. He's still within the podium places, unfortunately, but that would be, I'm sure he will be very upset with that one, but he's still done a great job there, getting himself into this, into the range of this race to get the, potentially get a win and get a podium for sure. But Irvine now getting past Jake the Slayer as well. Jake the Slayer dropping down to P10 and Favre now in P11 as well. But like I was saying, this battle is still to unfold. We've still got a story to be told in Singapore, but I don't think it's going to be for the top runners, because they've almost sorted themselves out pretty much in this Grand Prix. SwimGP is all over the back of Craig R now, and Craig R is going to be pushing on, trying to get himself past Mr. Elite. Oh no, SwimGP's out of the Grand Prix. What happened there? He just went off on his own as well. This is ludicrous, this drive. This Singapore Grand Prix is an absolute nightmare for some drivers. This is unprecedented, this Singapore Grand Prix, I have to say. SwimGP there, a victim of his own traction zone, I think. Here comes B Rabbit there to claim victory here in Singapore. He has only led part of one lap, and it was the final lap of this Grand Prix. He takes the lead of the championship there. He takes the win here in Singapore, but it was down to, unfortunately, an error from KD on this part of the circuit on the final lap. The beginning of the final lap there, unfortunately for KD, has cost him the win. He finishes in P2, which is still a fantastic result there from KD. Tango in P3 after the medium compound tyres did not phase in towards the end compared to the top two. What a race. What an end to the race as well. We'll have to look at the classification as well. Favre gets driver of the day, but not in my book. So there we go. Your votes for driver of the day there currently is Dopey Lemons there and B Rabbit there. Unfortunately, Gino has not got any votes, but of course he did not finish this Grand Prix, so he would not be counted as the driver of the day. There is B Rabbit there on the top step of the podium there. I don't think he expected the top step of the podium there, but nonetheless he has got himself the win, and that's what champions do there, is they get the win whenever they even when they look like they might not be able to get that elusive 25 points. But he has got those 25 points under his belt once again. There has B Rabbit, familiar face on the top step there in season 6 of Silver. KD there in P2 in the Red Bull there. Unfortunately, that error cost him the win, but he's still got himself a fantastic podium there. Tango in P3 there after leading the majority of the Grand Prix as well. That safety car came out at the wrong time for Tango there. Dopey Lemons does get P4, so does Dylan in P5. So good stuff from Alfa Romeo there, getting a good haul of points there. Craig R does get P6 in the end. Fantastic from him after a great race indeed. Irvine in P7. Mr. Elite P8 there in the end after the penalties were added on. Favre in P9. Jake the Slayer in P10. Mumford in P11, Vessia in P12, Vintage P13. Unfortunately, we lost SwimGP, Gina, Reflection, Camaro, Golden Wolf, Collins, and Kaz from this Silver Grand Prix. So, blimey, I am absolutely knackered. So I think I will be I'll be sticking it there for this one. We'll get the interviews underway very shortly, but God, blimey, that was one hell of a Grand Prix indeed. Yeah, well, I'll get the interviews underway now, shall we? Might as well. So, Tango, you're in the lobby with me, you're in the session with me, I think, if you can hear me. How was, well, firstly, talk to us about that first few stints, because you were absolutely blitzing your way off in the distance with the rest of the top three, the likes of KD and B Rabbit there as well. Did you think it was just going to be a fight between you three?
Yeah, not much really to say. It's just typical me around Singapore, not having any luck. Bad strategy, probably left it too early to pick because I just got worried by how much the tyres were going off compared to KD. But if I'm honest, this is the race where I don't think that there's necessarily a championship battle anymore. Personally, unless something happens massive and or Dylan goes on a mad running spree till the end, I think that this is pretty much over now because I think Rabbit, you're just way too consistent, and even in a weekend where you were, I don't even think that you might not be a second there, but he finds a way, always finds a way.
Well, it's nothing from your point of view in terms of your pace. You were controlling the Grand Prix for the majority of it, to be honest, and that safety car just came out at the wrong time, in my opinion, for yourself. And obviously after you just pitted as well. But I still think you had some good pace there. It looked like at the beginning of that stint at the very end as well, you were keeping up with the soft runners, and when the DRS got enabled, I think they just sort of decided to put the burners on and disappear away from you, which is unfortunate because I thought you might be within a shout there of sticking with them and being within the realms of a win later on in the Grand Prix. But a bit of a shame there for Tango, I think. But still a podium for yourself. You can't complain about that, and we'll see. Hopefully in 3 weeks' time now, because we've got a 2 week break. What you're going to be like in Japan? What's your thoughts on Japan for your initial thoughts on Japan there before your next league race there?
We'll see. I don't really expect to be winning it, but to be fair, I should have probably taken at least 2 wins out of the last 5. But that's the way it goes. If you just start at that cutting edge, then you're not willing or you're not deserving of say a championship. But we'll see how it goes. It's just going to be a case of hitting at the right time as well, and it's a very tricky track to overtake on with there only being one probably solid overtaking spot. So we'll just see, take it how it comes.
Fair enough. Then, well, like I said, you sound a bit upset, of course, with the way the race has gone in the end. But I still think of fair play to yourself for soldiering on, getting that podium under your belt, and again, more points on the table for yourself and for the Aston Martin team. And like I was saying, well, like you were saying as well, hopefully more points to come as well. It will probably be the case. So well done to you, KD. I think joined us as well. I'm not sure if I think B Rabbit joined us as well, but KD there in P2 in the end. Like I was saying, it looked like that race was yours to. Well, it was yours to lose. Unfortunately, I don't want to say it like that, but yeah, I mean, what happened at the end there? What we didn't quite see it because we just saw the end of it, and you ghosting, and luckily ghosting, I suppose you could say, and just avoiding the incident there with B Rabbit there at the end of at the end of turn 3. But what happened from your point of view?
Well, basically, when we got to turn 3, I spun the rear tires, and then I was just trying to regain control of the car, which I did, but yeah, that's basically what happened. I just lost control for a bit, trying to push as hard as I could just to keep B-Rabbit at bay. But yeah, no, I mean, it was not bad overall the race. I mean, it's better, definitely better than what gold yesterday, that's for sure. But yeah, I could have liked a better result. I could have held on for the win, but yeah, I just cost myself there big time.
Well, he started some great pace indeed, and I think the likes of Tango in the first few stints and B Rabbit there in those stints as well were probably quite fearful of you right behind them or right in front of them. Either way, it was looking good indeed. The top 3 of you disappearing off in the distance, like I was saying to Tango as well. Did you think the win was on the cards as well, or did you just think when you got into the lead that you were going to be under pressure for the rest of that stint as well?
No, I felt like the win was on the cards. I mean, I was like slow. I mean, I was like slowly gaining on Tango in some bits, like the first stint before the first safety car came out. I was gaining on him slowly by like about 2/10 a lap, and then I was thinking, okay, well, I'm not gonna be able to overtake him. I'll just try to go for an undercut. Then the safety car came out, so that kind of ruined everything. Um, but when we got to the mediums, like I still kept up with him in some cases, and then I saw he was kind of struggling a little bit. I noticed like he was losing the rear in some areas. I don't know if he was struggling with rear tire temps or if he was just feeling some pressure, but yeah, like I kept up with him until he had to pit again. Then yeah, of course, what happened with him, that safety car, that was really unfortunate. Just how that came out at the worst time for him. And
Yeah,
then
unfortunately. Oh,
yeah,
sorry. You carry on.
No, no problem. It's okay. Yeah, and then pretty much, obviously, the whole goal was just to keep B Rabbit big, because obviously, like you said, the top three, like us, myself, B Rabbit, and Tango were pretty much the class of the field, and all I had to do was just try to keep B Rabbit big. Unfortunately, I didn't do that, so it is what it is.
No, it was still a fantastic race to watch from my point of view, even though I was getting a bit fed up with it after all of the safety cars and whatnot. It would have been nice to have a nice clean race, but like I said, a much better race for yourself as well, showing the actual formula that you've got, because we saw the qualifying pace yesterday in gold, and then we saw the race pace as well from yourself in silver tonight. So yeah, maybe combine them both for bronze tomorrow. So well done to yourself, KD. P2 in the end there from the Red Bull driver as well. So good stuff from Tango there, P3 and KD and P2. Did B Rabbit join us? I think he did. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, I'm here.
B Rabbit there, another win under your belt, and were you expecting that at any stage of that Grand Prix?
I don't really expect it, because I think in the first stint I was the slowest of us. I just needed a few laps to get the rhythm, to get the pace. Maybe it was because of the delayed procedure, like we had a restart and and I did just one quali lap, so I had a little break till the race starts, but all in all, everything was fine. Maybe again too much safety cars, but today the safety car was maybe in my favor, especially the last one. Huge respect to KD. Have never seen a driver spin the tires that hard that you get ghosted and still can control the car. So respect for that. But yeah, all in all, my race was good. I will take the win. I like Singapore, and I didn't expect that.
Well, congratulations to yourself. Like Tango was saying, he thinks that the championship fight is out of his hands and out of potentially Dylan's hands as well. Is that the same thoughts from yourself, of course, leading the championship there, rather than trying to attack? You're having to look behind and defend, aren't you?
To this question, I only can give wrong answers. So we will see. The season is still long. Lots of points on the table. So right now I have a rhythm, I have a flow, but we will see what the next races will bring. But I really like the break, because we had, I don't know, 12 or 13 or 14 races in a row. So a little rest is fine right now.
You've spoken just like a championship leader would do as well, saying that you have to take it race by race, etc. But no, very good stuff indeed from yourself here in Singapore. And like I said, we'll most likely see all three drivers back here for another interview very soon as well. But of course, we've got a break week now, or 2 weeks break. We're back at the beginning of November, I think it is now for silver. I think it's the 6th of November if I'm not mistaken. But of course, there's bronze action tomorrow night in Singapore as well, and F2 action in Monza on Wednesday as well. So stay tuned for that. There's plenty more action coming up on ALR, and we'll see you very soon.